on this call, but she just came on and she said Typic. It's a free app too, so make sure you download it. It's great, and it's just really great filters. Great, you can have text. So TYPIC if you don't use it. Snapseed is another one. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but for doing like filters and fixing lighting and stuff for pictures, that's a great one. And another one, she's like, and if you're a hot mess, there's always Beauty Plus. So I just thought it was really funny because she's like, she's as real as they come. Like she shares everything. Like I'm like, girlfriend, you don't even have a filter on your blog. So she is
How
like.
do you spell those last two apps that you said? So there's Typic and what's the other two?
Snapseed, SNAPSEED. And then the one with like I guess like kind of like a filter is Beauty Plus. So like Beauty, PLUS.
Yeah, I agree with Snapseed.
She's big on, she also said she's big on PhotoFi. And it, like, and one thing about PhotoFi I'll say is that everybody always leaves the little freaking emblem in the bottom, guys. If you pay the 99 cents, it's gone for good. So I always tell my coaches, I'm like, I'll pay the 99 cents. Just get it off your pictures because it looks so cheesy. So anyways, I'm really not like that bad, I promise.
No. Well, Megan, we are super excited to have you on the call tonight. And I didn't realize one of my downline coaches just reached out to me tonight and she's like, I know Megan. She and I did Country Heat certification together. So Lucy Sabroni from our team, I don't know if she's able to make it on the call tonight, but she definitely remembered you. You guys are from the same area, so I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm so grateful that you're able to talk about the top coaching mistakes. And yeah, we're all definitely going to be taking notes. And for those of you guys who don't know, Megan is a 6-star diamond. She is a 2015 elite coach. She's been coaching about 24 months, so really not that long. You've had a lot of success in a short.
Wait, no, it's not 24. I quoted you totally wrong on that.
Oh, well, that you don't have to correct yourself.
I figured that out today when I was talking about it on my.
Oh, yeah?
I've been coaching for a little over 2.5 years, so it's
okay.
32 months.
Okay, well, close enough. You're still a rock star.
You don't have to be able to do math either to be a coach.
No, but you and I started about the same time. I started in March of 2014. So I was looking at your stats and I'm like, oh, she's about kind of on the same track I am. I'm just a 5-star though. I wasn't elite last year, but hopefully this year. But yeah, so you and I are both like proof that your business can take off. Like that, I don't know about you, but my first year was kind of slow. Second year, I was really gaining momentum. So the proof is just stick with it. Don't you agree? Like if you stick with it, that's when you start seeing results is in the long term. Just don't quit, right?
Yeah, I can really attest to that because I can say I actually talked about it in Pittsburgh. That's where I live. Is I'm on market council with Jacqueline and Melanie and stuff. And we had a diamond breakfast and I talked about how I had my first year. Like most people probably would have quit after my first year of coaching because I was a diamond coach and it didn't look like I was going anywhere. And I had not reached my goals for the end of the first year because I wanted to be a 2-star diamond. I wanted to go to that new leader conference and it didn't happen at all. I was so far from that. And I put all my coaching eggs in one basket, whatever. And I really hit a low point. But that's when I had a big mindset shift. And I can tell you that it's really, personal development's so key, but I'll get into that in my call. And I'll tell you that as long as you, especially when you think that it's like your hardest time, you're going to hit that momentum. It happens when you least expect it, just as long as you're consistent and keep it up.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, I will turn the call totally over to you. The floor is yours and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. So yeah, looks like you're sharing your screen here. So you roll with it. Okay. I'll mute myself for a while then.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, whatever. I'm pretty laid back. I guess I could tell you guys a little bit about me, but the only thing I can tell you is that I started with Beachbody a couple months postpartum. I was not feeling like myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a single mom. I had been engaged, but we had broken off our engagement, and I was just a hot mess, basically. And I'm like, I need to get back in shape. and I was worried. I used to compete in fitness. I'm like, that P90X3, I don't know if that's really going to cut it, but I need to do something, and I can't get to the gym. I say my former life, I used to be a critical care nurse. I worked in the ICU for 7 years, and I also was accepted to numerous nurse practitioner programs. But like quickly, as I started coaching and I had the results with P90X3 and showed that on social media, I had so many moms coming to me, and they were like, well, oh my gosh, you're such an inspiration. How can you do that? I have, I could never get, and I'm like, no, you really can. You can get your baby back your post-baby body back, but it's just making that decision to do it. Like, I'll help you. And that's when I caught the vision for coaching. And really everything since then, I kind of took it and ran with it. And that is when I decided quickly, night shift and working 14-hour shifts and going back to school and going into debt and being away from my daughter became a thing of the past. And around 16 months in as a coach, I started meeting the same weekly income that I was making as a critical care nurse. So, and I will tell you, it was weird because I started out with coaches in January of 2014. So I think my PS coach is Lindsay Matway. So I was starting with coaches like Bonnie Engel. That's who I'm like comparing myself to. Who's some other people I started with? Well, she's just like really the standout. Like I was comparing myself to her. And that's when I quickly learned comparison will kill you in this business. So with that said, you can and just stay consistent, and that's going to be, I'll talk about it more as we get into this. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about the top 10 mistakes that new and not so new coaches make. And I say that because I feel like so many times we are like doing our coaching thing and then we like kind of just get off track because we get comfortable and we just start to fall into poor habits maybe we had when we were new coaches or whatever. So with that said, I want to and for people that aren't, maybe you're not a new coach, but also take these notes and so you can implement them with your as a leader, because you're going to be able to implement them. And just so you guys know, if you ask questions, I can't answer them to the end because I have ADD and I will get so off track. So if you ask them, I'll answer them at the end. But see, like, look what happened. And so what I was going to say is that it's just as a leader, or as if you're developing a team, you want to really take these notes because you have to remember of those simple little things that you need to talk about with your new coaches, and maybe have a new coach call. I've found that having new coach calls weekly with my new coaches and they do my new coach academy has been game changing for my business. But different strokes for different folks, and that's the beauty of owning your own business. So I'm going to get started with mistake number 1. I think I am. So, mistake number 1. Social media becomes your Beachbody billboard with stock photos of Shakeology and workouts. And, this is the thing, guys, is social media is a place where people go to connect with other people. They don't go on social media to buy things. But when we want to buy things, where do we go? We go to Target, we go to Amazon.com, we go to Victoria's Secret, things like that. We don't come to Facebook to like lose money from our wallet, right? So first things first, your social media should give people a good idea of who you are, what you love, and what your life is like on a day-to-day basis, right? Sounds kind of simple. It's not always as simple as it sounds.
Yeah, you're going to post some Shakeology at one of them.
Well, we'll get into that. There's a way to do it. So you are not Beachbody. And that's what you need to remember starting from the get-go. You are you. And Beachbody, healthy lifestyle, and coaching just happens to be part of your life. So what you need to do is share your life. Your personality is key. And what makes you, you, right? So you're going to share how Beachbody fits as it fits into your life. But you have to come up with real, transparent, authentic posts that share the real you. You don't, if you follow other coaches who are similar to you, which some coaches recommend, or whatever, we just follow other coaches just because we're friends with them or whatever on Facebook, that's great. But whatever you do, the worst thing you can do is copy other people's stuff It's okay to use it for inspiration. But I always tell my coaches, I'm like, find coaches that are similar to you, maybe follow them for a month or two, but then unfollow them, because you need to come out and develop as your own self as a coach. You know, take advantage of the freedom to brand you as you. You know, that's a beautiful thing we have with this business. Most people that, all right, when you bought into this business you bought your own business. You became the CEO of your own company, technically. So the cool thing about this is you get to brand you. We can talk about faith, we can talk about family, and those things are like taboo in the corporate America. So take advantage of being able to maximize and brand you with those things. Someone needs you and not anybody else. They don't need Kim, they don't need me, they need you. And you have to lead knowing that. So, all right, let's say you're like, oh, that's awesome, but what am I supposed to post? As a new coach, I know it can be overwhelming. If you're at a loss, I always do the 3-time rule. And I say, do one thing that motivates and inspires, one thing personal, and another that has to do with your health and fitness journey that you're currently on, okay? Now, I do say post 3 to 5 times a day to my coaches, and because I found that when I say 3 to 5 times a day, I get the bare minimum of 3. Now, here is an example of things that you would want to be posting, okay? You want to have your focused 5, the 5 things that define you as a coach. So when you would go to your Facebook, you want to go and you should have 5 things that you talk about, and do the 80-20 rule with posting. 80% should be about the things that are about you, the 4 topics, because I always say the 5th topic is kind of like the health and fitness, which is like your beach body stuff. And the other 20% are going to be about beach body and your journey. And that's the thing, is that when you sprinkle that 20% in, it's not like you're some beach body billboard, okay? And that's the other thing, is also, yeah, you can post Shakeology, heck yeah, but you know what? A Shakeology selfie every day of the week, that's redundant. That's too much. People are going to be like, all right, we get it. You drink Shakeology. What's your point? You want to, when you don't want to be posting quotes. The way I have my coaches evaluate their social media is I have them go to their page, and I want you to go down and look at those. You know, if you're looking at somebody's page and you look down the bottom left in the pictures, you see, I think it's like 9 pics you can see. I think it's like 9, might be a little more or less. But look at those 9 pictures. And I want you to check out those 9 pictures. And I want you to look at it. And I want you to tell me what's on there. What do you see? We should see a lot of pictures of you, number 1. Number 2, it shouldn't look like a Pinterest quote board. So if you have quotes you like, make it personal. Like, look, here's an example on this post. I thought about giving up, but then I remembered who was watching. She did her picture working out with her kid. That has nothing to do, but I mean, she hashtagged some things, but regardless, the bottom line is like, that's sharing her health and fitness journey, and that's going and bringing her children into it. You know, you can do things without talking directly about Beachbody, but talking about whether you're doing a new program, or maybe you're, you know, I always say that I'm drinking my Shakeology, but I'll say that I'm drinking my drink for the chronically late, because I'm known for not being on time. So my examples are, you know, I always say, and people will be like, well, what is it? And that's when I will take it to a private conversation. And I don't sit there and just start like verbally vomiting about Shakeology on the comments, because then other people will just read about it and then they're not going to communicate with me. If they want to know more about it, they're going to say, well, tell me about it. Tell me what you're doing. What are you doing? But if I put all the info out there in my post, they're not going to inquire. So that's just something else to keep in mind. Okay. Now, things not to put out there. And that's the no-no-nos. That's, you know, even though, let's say here, I love Shailene's post on that PIO thing, but don't you ever put that out there. No program pictures, no words like sale or time's running out, or, you know, putting prices. Never ever post your link. We all probably are guilty of it. Don't post corporate videos. Don't do try your best not to use stock transformation photos. If you guys, I don't know if you guys do, but maybe like consider doing, I have in my team page, we do a Google Doc drive where we put everybody's transformation pictures. That way, like if you're looking for an example of PIO, you're a new coach and you don't have a PIO transformation, you can go to the coach group and maybe find somebody that had a PIO transformation that you can share with maybe a potential customer. But try your best not to share the stock transformations. And also, like I said, you want to watch with your use of program name and your facts about Shakeology. One thing I always get on my coaches about, they're like, my superfood shake. I'm like, people don't get it. They don't care it's a superfood shake. They care more about what your experience is with it than they care about your facts about Shakeology. You can go and list every ingredient, but people aren't going to care, and so experience is going to trump all of these things. And you just also you want to make sure, like we were kind of chatting about earlier, you don't want to leave out the fact that your people can come to you for this advice or come to you to inquire. But at the same time, you don't want to rob yourself of conversation starters that can become personal conversations. And I'll get into that in a second. So mistake number 2 is leading with your own agenda. You'll find that people aren't too motivated by your Success Club goals or how many lives you're out to change. They might be inspired by your excitement. They might be inspired by your journey, but I'll tell you what's going to motivate them is their own goals and how their lives will be happier and more fulfilling once they reach their goals. As a coach, it's your job to ask questions and be a good listener and focus on how you can help. I always say to my coaches, there's a reason God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? You have to be more, a lot of coaches in the Bombshell Dynasty, they'll say be more interested. I'm sure you guys have heard that, more than interesting. They don't want to hear a big spiel. Like if you say, hey, message me if you want details about this upcoming accountability group. Well, then also you don't want to say, just start going off about, okay, like send them a massive long message. First thing I say is, well, so what's going on? What's up? What are your health and fitness goals? That's the first thing I say to people. I do not make it about the challenge group because, the reality is that if people know and feel that you genuinely care, that's what matters. And they don't care what you know or what product you have until they know that you care. So, aim to be that helper and that, because the reality is we have solutions that provide results. We know this. We have thousands and hundreds of thousands of transformation stories. We know we have things that work, and our job is to find out what people's needs are. So, there's actually this, I wanted to add it to the slides, but I didn't have time, so I apologize. We have a top 10 resolution list, and I can actually send the slide over to Kim for her to share with you guys. And it's the top 10 resolutions that are typical of every year. And what's crazy about it is if you look at this, it's like, typical ones are like weight loss, quit smoking, quit drinking. People want a new job. They want to make more money. Like those are the ones I can say off the top of my head. And what's cool about it is when you look at these resolutions, Beachbody, between our products and the coaching opportunity, both and or, we have answers to every single one of those problems. Like we have the solutions. And to me, that's just crazy because that's just the people in general, and then talking about their top 10 resolutions. And literally we have solutions for every single one of those. So that's just something cool to think about. So just remember, you have the solution. We're not in a convincing business. So you don't have to convince people. Your job is to find out what their need is. So mistake number 3 is, you have to remember people will have their opinions, whether they voice them or not, and whether you ask about it. And not just about your new coaching journey or what you're doing, but everything in life. People are always going to judge. And it's impossible to make everyone happy. So, and just know, the reality is we can't be everyone's cup of tea. So true friends will support you in anything that they see that is making a positive impact on your life. And if they're not supportive, then the reality is they're not your true friends. And I know that that's hard to hear. I've had coaches come to me like literally crying because like some friend like sent them some nasty message and then like unfriended them. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of friend that is, but I promise you might be better off without her. And honestly, I feel like sometimes when things like that do happen, it somewhat comes from a place where that other person's hurting. And I always feel like hurting people hurt people, or it comes from some place of jealousy. Like they kind of wish they could be doing the same thing, but they just don't have I don't know. So just take that for what it is. Because I used to be one of those people that would be like, oh my gosh, I just made a faith post and like 5 people unfriended me. And it's because I was talking about my faith. And then that was like when I first started coaching. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be so vocal about like my beliefs in God. And then I'm like after I started doing personal development, which I'll tell you about that too. I'm very transparent with my team about the mistakes I made. But there's a saying that goes, those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. And that is the absolute truth, especially when it comes to social media in this business. You have to remember your social media is the storefront of your business. So if you're not posting consistently, it's like putting a closed sign on the door of your business. Okay. And it's just so true. Like I said, I've had friends disapprove, and even after seeing my success with the business, now they've like come back around and they're like, hey, like, so what's this thing? Like, I'm really interested in learning more about it. And I'm like, sometimes you just need to prove it to them. And a lot of people, I always call them the lurkers. They're out there watching because they want to see if you're going to stick with this. Because you know what? They have maybe a couple other friends in their feed that are Beachbody coaches. And I have people that apply from my cold market all the time that say to me, well, I know other coaches that are doing this aren't making any money. Like, so how do I know that that's not going to be the case for me? Well, I can't tell you that's not going to be the case for you, but what I can tell you is that I'm proof that you can make money. And I didn't have anything given to me. I didn't have any leeway. That's not how this works. If you put in the work, you'll get the results. Another fun side note is if your friends and family are not supportive, do not let that discourage you guys, because I'll tell you, my friend that's the social media, I say she's like a social media superstar. She like really is. She's like on like all these things. And I said, I invited her to be a coach for a 1.5 years. It took her that long to say yes. She literally was so resistant to coaching. And now she's like, can't imagine not doing it. My cousin, who I knew would be an incredible coach, literally just joined at the end of last month. 2.5 years it took her to join me. Like, seriously, you're my family member. She's like, well, I just didn't want to take away from your thing. I said, okay, bullshit. But, like whatever, it just took her that much time. She had to see if it worked for me. She had to watch me. So you just have to remember, I had a challenger who finally just turned into a coach, and she's a rock star already, but it took her 2 years to make that turn. So you just got to stay and trust the process. And, the bottom line is, I want you to remember, looking at the quote that I have posted there, would you rather fail not trying and not posting on social media and not taking that risk, or fail knowing that you gave it all you got? Because I know what the answer to that question would be for me. So mistake number 4, they expect their upline coach to give them permission to start. And that is like, or they're afraid to fail or whatever. And that you're going to fail. So you are now a business owner, and it's time to start thinking like one, okay? Our team, the training you're getting from Kim and our online office alone provides resources for literally almost every question you have. And if you don't, there's this thing called Google. And I swear, we were just joking about it on my team call about how it has like everything that you could have, like, look for. But business owners in general are going to learn through trial and error. Okay. And we call this failing forward. You need to realize right now that you're not going to do everything right the first time. And that's okay, because making mistakes is the only way you're going to learn, and the only way you're going to grow and become the best coach and the best person, an individual you can possibly be. So your upline coach is your mentor. We are not your boss, okay? A mentor is someone who has done something that you want to do, who's able to guide you and to the resources you need and show you how they succeeded. You're, you know, I honestly tell my coaches, like, especially the ones who are like, okay, I want to build a business. I want to make a couple extra thousand a month. I say, you are a leader. Like, to me, you're a leader once you signed up with this business. You're on my playing field. You know, you are a franchisee just like me. And we are all building our dreams together. So you're a leader once you sign up. And, you know, that's why as upline coaches, we match your efforts. But the thing is that if you don't show up and your coach isn't messaging you, asking you why, don't ask yourself why, because it's your business. It's not ours. We can't do the work for you. It's up to you to show up daily and do the work, right? And as a business owner, the only person that is fully responsible for your success is you. You know, Lindsay didn't come to me, Jacqueline didn't come to Kim and say, hey, hi, like, here's my hands extended, like, let me help you. No, like, it was like, I personally, like, especially because when I started, Lindsay had just gotten top coach. I was very much a number at that time. And I had to really figure it out myself at the beginning. But I'm telling you, you take responsibility and then you will be successful. You know, we live in this instant gratification society where people want to get rich quick and they want to get fit quick. You know, that's why it's so cool, because we have the full package with Beachbody, with the fitness, nutrition, and support. But remember, like, when I have people that come to me and they're like looking for either the get fit quick or the get rich quick, I'm like, yeah, this might not be for you, because this takes hard work. It takes determination and consistency. But what I can promise you is that if you have those things, this business and these programs do work. So after all, if it was easy, like, wouldn't everybody in the world be a Beachbody coach? So just food for thought. That's what I always tell people. Now, we have the mindset of the employee versus that of a leader. And these kind of like speak for themselves. But, you know, there's the employee mentality that people have, and they work for a paycheck, and there's no need to give more than I have to. And this business is, you know, lucky to have me, and, you know, somebody's mandated to take care of me, and I'm entitled because I work here, and I'm only going to do what I'm told to do. I'm going to do the bare minimum. And that's an employee mentality. Okay. And then as far as the business owner mentality, that's where we have this shift, because you have to have that bigger picture, and your why has to be in the forefront. You can't focus on the here and now. You have to keep the big picture in perspective, and remember why you truly are coaching. Mine is not only to help mothers, you know, my why, I always say we have a twofold why, a why that's driven by, it's like a pageant why. It's our why of like, why we're coaching. I want to help others and change their lives, like peace, and like, I want peace on earth. You know, I want to help moms. I want to help moms be their best self so they can be the best mom possible. But my other flip side of my why is to be present and provider for my daughter, first and foremost. But that's where you have to find your personal satisfaction with what you're doing as a coach. Now, when you go the extra mile, you're doing it because it helps the business, the people we serve, and it helps your team. And you feel blessed with what you're doing. Your responsibility is to see that you are reaching your fullest potential and becoming the best you possible. Entitlement isn't a word in your vocab, because if it was, you aren't a business owner, because business owners know that they have to put in the work to get the results. You know, if they go and disappear and stop working, so is what they're creating. And, you know, there's also times where you have to understand you're going to have your personal agenda maybe interrupted, you know, because of what we do, and that's okay. And, you know, maybe it's going to be some short-term sacrifice. Maybe it's going to be, maybe you're not going to be able to watch TV. You have to get up 30 minutes earlier to do your workout before your kids get up, or you have to stay up 30 minutes later. When I was, you know, first had my daughter and like trying to figure out the new mom thing, I used to stay up for like a couple hours after my daughter went to bed, just trying to figure out like coaching and to get my life together as a coach. But you know, that's the thing. You have to know just where your goals and priorities are with that business owner mentality. And I'm not saying that everybody has to be a business builder. I'm just saying as a business owner, whether you want to be a part-time coach or a challenge coach or a business builder, you have to figure out your priorities and things like that. All right. This is just like an obvious one. We waste a lot of time scrolling the news feed and being unproductive. And it's so easy to get sucked into social media and think you're working. I'm like so guilty of this. I'm not gonna lie. I've been guilty of it. But if you're scrolling the news feed or Pinterest or on your phone, you know, when you should be maybe with unplugged time with your kids, that is not working. So I hate to burst your bubble, my friends. If you're not focused on a to-do list and doing your vital behaviors, you're not working. You're actually wasting time that could be spent building your future or time spent with your family or loved ones. And the bottom line is that you need to be following a tracker. You need to be following a to-do list. I'm sorry. You need to be tracking what you do. And if you aren't doing that when you're working, then you're not working. Okay. So walking around like on your phone and scrolling social media, that's not really connecting with, that's not getting the job done. What I tell my coaches is with the laser focus intention on that power hour, you really want to get it done, sit down, turn off your notifications, turn off your phone or put it on silent. You know, have that time where maybe you talk to somebody and you have your kids or have your kids watching a movie or whatever you have to do, and have your distractions knocked out. And you know what I do is I use that news feed killer on my Chrome. I go into my Chrome, I click on the news feed killer. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it works. I have to do it because otherwise I get distracted. So I use that and it completely blocks it so I can't see my news feed, and I get my power hour done within an hour and a half. And my power hour is like a little bit more. I do a little bit more than like an average power hour. So that is key with being productive. Mistake number 6 is overthinking as a new coach. I'll tell you one thing, and I tell all my new coaches this, especially with new coach training. You can watch all the trainings in the world, but if you're not implementing what you learn, training is worthless. You can watch all the YouTube trainings in the world. You can go and do team calls. Every team call you can be there with your bells on and your notebook, and you can have notebooks and of notes, and you can be in every Facebook group available to beach bike coaches. But I'll tell you one thing, if you aren't taking action, we are in an action-based business, and if you aren't taking action, you're not doing it. You're not going to be having progress. It's an action-based business. So done is better than perfect. Don't overthink it, dream and fantasize, just do it. I used to get stuck all the time making like these perfect posts and worrying about like, you just have to do it. Not everything's going to be perfect, but you know what? Done is better than perfect. And I used to tell my coaches too, when I would talk to them about their aha moments with personal development. When you're doing your personal development and you have those aha moments that you like make a note about or whatever, I'll tell you, they don't mean much unless you take action with them. So you read something and I don't know if you guys have read The Success Principles. If you haven't, it's an amazing book. But like, I have so many coaches that have read that. And I'm like, so well, did you do that exercise? There's so many exercises to do in it. And some of them are time consuming, but they are like so game changing for your business and your life in general. It's by the guy from The Secret and Jack Canfield. Great book if you're looking for something for personal development. Okay, mistake number 7. Have you ever heard do it with passion or not do it at all? That is very much the truth. And you'll know that if you've been a coach or if you're a new coach, you'll see in time. Passion and excitement are like a magnet in this business. Okay, so you can list all the facts you know about Shakeology like I was talking about before, but until people know what it's done for you, they might just not really care that much. You know, they don't know what they're not going to know what spirulina and acai or like what all these things do, but they're going to know if it got you off some cholesterol medication or it helped, your hairdresser made a comment. I swear everybody asks me if I have hair extensions all the time now. And I say it's because of Shakeology. I swear. But, they want to hear about your experiences. They want to know how Shakeology has changed you, how it's helped your life or the people you're working with. Sharing your story and your struggles, when you share them with a silver lining. Nobody wants to see the negativity unless you have something to put as positive spin on it. And that's what's going to help people connect and relate with you. And you have to remember that. That's what's going to help you stand apart from other coaches and help those people know that they need you, not the other coach. And ultimately, that's, like I was just saying, that's what's going to make them choose you, and that's what you were made for in coaching. Everybody is a special coach. And, God gave you a story to tell, and he's put you through trials, and he's put you through, you've had problems, and you may have had things that are very unimaginable to share. But, sometimes sharing those deepest, darkest hurts are going to be your biggest message in ministry, that are going to bring the people to you that you are really meant to connect and work with on the deepest levels, because they're going to feel so connected with you, and they're going to have trust with you and have that relationship of trust that they're just going to be like, I need to have you as my coach. Mistake number 8 is they wait to share their journey. Well, it isn't relatable to be perfect. People are not inspired by perfection. They are inspired by your journey. They want to see it. They're inspired by seeing someone accomplish something, and because it makes them hope or see, like, hey, if she can do it, so can I. And once you've inspired them, that's what That's what matters. You inspire or motivate, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is if you wait to share your results until your journey is over, you're missing out on the valuable potential of growth and gaining a following in your business. And I have had numerous coaches that have waited, and it's like backfired on them. And actually, when I went on new coach calls, when I had first started coaching my first year, I remember going on a coach with a girl, and she said she had lost like 150 some pounds. She wasn't even kidding. She goes, when I was fat, I used to get hundreds of Success Club points. Now I can hardly get like 10. And she was like, I thought it was kind of funny, because she's like, now I lost all my weight and I'm at my goal. She's like, I can't even, she's like, I did so much better when I was sharing the act of the journey. That was a big light bulb moment for me to hear as a brand new diamond coach. So, for example, this girl, Allie, she's a diamond coach, and, she obviously has fearlessly been rocking her journey. And it's just an example, it's hard. It is. And sometimes it is. You have to press that button and put enter and let it post, and maybe you have to run away, and that's okay. But also, if you're kind of, if you're going to share a very vulnerable post, I always tell my coaches, come into the team group. Let us know. We're going to come and support you. Number 9, they skipped the 3 vital behaviors, and I'm sorry, this is an update because I don't have 4 in there, and I didn't know how much Kim went into the recognition with you guys, but I honestly don't have my new coaches really stress out about the recognition initially, because I just want them to focus on these first 3 things, and then they can, after their first month of training, I'd go into more of the recognition piece with them. So sorry, Kim, this is like a little different, but number 1, I made this mistake. I did not do personal development. I thought that me and my reading my Bible, doing my faith walk was enough. I was like, I don't need personal development. Like, who has time for that? I have a kid. I'm a new mom. I don't have time for it. When I started doing personal development 6 months into my business, I think, 6 months in, but I literally that is when I think that's like right around when I went diamond, like right after I started doing it, because my mindset literally was starting to shift. I will say it's the most common thing that coaches tend to blow off, but it's the most important thing because it's what's going to set you apart again from other coaches. Personal development is going to teach you how to become a positive person. It's going to teach you leadership skills, how to communicate, not only so that you can communicate with challengers or customers, but it's also going to teach you how to communicate with your coaches. And I will tell you that I learned this the hard way, because I have a very strong, I have a stronger personality. I'm an introvert, but I am very much I have a ruby. I'm very much a Ruby personality, but I have a lot of pearls on my team and they don't like Miss Ruby. So I had to really learn to shift to communicate with my pearls. So, you know, that's an important, I would have had no clue how to do that if it wasn't for personal development, knowing love languages, the shift from going from that mindset from an employee to a business owner. Because a lot of us, you know, may be working for someone else and we've never owned our own business. I didn't own my own business until Beachbody. And literally shifting that mindset from employee to business owner can make or break you in this business. I truly believe that. Also, you know, how to self-motivate, how to get organized and work smarter, not harder, how to share your story fearlessly and authentically. That also took me time, but it's over time I've learned how to do so. And how to deal with negative situations, find that silver lining, and just how to inspire and help others. Personal development, I always say don't do it aimlessly. After you do like the requirements of that your personal coach, I have 3 things that 3 to 4 books that I tell my coaches, start with this. After that, identify where your weakness is or where your need is. And I have like a big book list that I have where it's kind of like broken down. It came from, I think, Katie Hefner, and it has like the different categories so they can figure out like where they need to go. I say do personal development for you. Don't do it for anybody else. And, you know, another thing is maybe they're not a product of the product. You can't be, it's just like, all right, you go to a great restaurant. Are you going to be able to, all right, you know, you don't go to a restaurant. Can you recommend a restaurant to somebody that you've never been to? No, right? It's almost impossible to convince someone to go there if you haven't been there yourself. So how are you going to convince, or what, like I said, we're not in the business of convincing. We don't want to be salesy. So how are you going to talk to somebody or talk to people on social media through your posting and in a way that they're going to want to say, you know what, I can invest my money and spend my money on this because it's going to be worth it. If you don't believe in it yourself, you know, I personally only recommend the products I use and that I love. But, you know, and I have coaches, I've had a couple coaches in the past that have come into this business and they're like, I don't want to drink Shakeology. And I'm like, well, I really don't think that's ethical. And I understand some people can't because of allergens and stuff. But the reality is that it's going to be, I tell them, it will be an uphill battle for you to share Shakeology with other people if you don't believe in the product. And also I'll tell you that you will get less and less objections the more convicted you become in the product, because so many people will see how convicted you are through your posting and through how you share, and just over time, you know, like I feel like I hardly ever get objections about Shakeology, but I mean, I think it just comes with time. I really do. So, you know, just coming across genuine and being a product of the product, you know, it's so important. And I'll tell you, because the people I know when my coaches are getting off on their health and fitness journey because they're not being a product of the product, because it makes it so difficult to share your journey on social media if you're not being a product. And when I had a meeting with Kim Carver when he came to Pittsburgh, he told me that one of the first things that he says to coaches when they're like talking about their businesses going wrong or like their businesses being off, the first thing he says to them, like, well, what program are you doing? He wants to make sure that they're being a product of the product, because if you're not, it really makes it difficult to share and inspire others, and it gives you less to post about. And, you know, then eventually you'll stop posting, and in turn that's going to affect your business. And, you know, if you're a product of the product, you're going to stay passionate about not only the products, but Beachbody and coaching and what we do and the results you're helping other people get. So, and you're just not even going to be able to keep it in, if that makes sense. And on another note, people with personal branding, I don't know, I'm just going to put it out there. Posting on Facebook, inviting to a challenge group is not going to cut it as a coach long-term. You must remember that only 3 to 10% of your Facebook friends actually see your posts. Did you guys know that? And that's even if you're doing things to increase your visibility, expanding your network, increasing your edge rank, and things like that, like social media stuff. So if you're doing daily deposits, you're doing conversation starters, that's getting you into people's news feeds. But still, it's only about like that might be the higher end. So like you're getting into like maybe 10 or 15% of your friends' news feeds. Okay. So you can't really post and expect people to come knocking at your door. And that's not what this business is about. We don't need people coming to us. That's why it's a personal business.